Our speaker, her name is Zaretsky, and she is a master professional coach, an author, and a speaker who helps people unleash their brilliance, confidence, and visibility in the world. She has worked with over 32,000 people in the past 22 years. She is a powerful advocate for ending the gender gap, both in pay and influence. Her work with women has led her to be a frequent contributor to Forbes and the author of Where Did My Confidence Go and How Do I Get It Back? Let's give a very warm welcome to Janet Zaretsky.
Thank you. So, thank you. I'm really excited to be here today. And for those of you that are of male persuasion, I'm not anti-men, even though it talked about ending the gender gap. We need allies. And I've worked with men all over the world as well. So this conversation will contribute to you. And what was so great is having you guys introduce yourself, because it gave me some actual tools to work on in this conversation. Don't worry, I'll make fun of everybody, so nobody will get left out. So here's what I have observed. In today's world, there is a problem. The problem is people downplay your worth. You downplay how great you are. I even say it this way: you don't know who you are. You think you are one way. You live life like you're one way. But if we interviewed everybody in your life, we would find out you aren't the way you think you are. You are extraordinary. And especially for this group of people, while you're looking for a new job, I'm going to get into some neuroscience and how this works in a moment. When you're looking for a new job, you've got to be able to own and express who you are, your power, your extraordinariness, and your worth. It's got to turn from, I need this job, to, hey, why wouldn't you have me? So is anybody interested in having that? Yes? Yes. No? Okay, cool. So let's start out with, most of you probably network in different situations or are just out finding where are jobs. So we're going to talk about something that we all do all the time, which is meet people. So when you're out, do you diminish yourself? So how that would sound is, hi, I'm let's see. Can I pick on the people? You can decline. Good. Pick on me. Pick on you. Awesome. Thank you so much for being willing. So, what was your last job?
Conference organizer.
Okay. And now you're going for?
I'm going back into sales.
I'm going back into sales. So, she did not come up here and say, I am a really rock star salesperson. And people want me. And I'm looking for a company that is a match for my skill set. Now, I know that wasn't the instruction, but you could have done that.
Totally.
Right? But what she said is, this is my last job. That was the experience. And what I got in that last job, so I'm just giving you all kinds of little places to go. What I got in that last job as a conference organizer, so you guys have been to a conference, it's like herding cats. It really is like herding cats, isn't it? I've run a lot of events and led a lot of events. And as a conference organizer who learned to herd cats, that skill set translates so beautifully into my sales career. So here's the companies I'm looking for. What's my point? Anyone? You said sell yourself? Yes, it's sell yourself, but it's a little bit different than just selling yourself. It's actually being who I am is that. And if who I am, see, I work with people in confidence all the time. If I own who I am, it projects. And there are jobs, and those of you, there was a gentleman who had his own business, right? When you're in your own business, you better be attractive to people or you won't be in business. And the more that you can own your power, the more profitable you'll be. It's also about money. So one of my specialties is having people make a ton of money, because it all comes from, I'm worth it. Just a little aside, I worked with one woman, and within 6 weeks she quadrupled her income. Worked with another woman who was changing jobs from Dell to EA, who had a $50,000 bump, with no degree, by the way, just because she said that's what I'm worth. And now she's got Facebook chasing her for $30,000 more than that. So, but that all comes from who I am. So when you look at yourself and you give yourself an honest assessment of yourself, how many of you really own how great you are? Just raise your hand. Okay, a couple. That's a pretty typical. A couple people do, most people don't. And I'd probably fight with you on what you think, because I probably could find an elevation in it, right? You'll have what you have. So the other piece of it is that given most of you are either out of work, in between jobs, have lost a job, been fired, laid off, changing from, I would assume, some sort of failing business, or decided it wasn't enough and going into another, you've gotten mentally beat down. You have some conclusion that you have about yourself that now is projected. And when you go for being hired, can I shake your hands? Okay, thank you. Hi, I need a job, really. That actually projects besides what you're saying. It's not just how you're saying it. I'm going to do interactive work with you to have this real rather than theoretical, because I'm very practical. But I want to get into the neuroscience for a minute. Don't worry, I'm not getting too deep in science. My first career, I was a nurse for 21 years. And I've done, besides all the coaching and the study of coaching, I've done a study in the neuroscience of communication and the neuroscience of coaching. And it's actually revolutionized things for people. Because we think it's us. We think it's personal. We think something's wrong with me. I'm here to tell you, it's brain science. It's just neuroenvironment. So, this is called the amygdala hijack. You can call it a brain hijack. So here's what happens. Let's just talk about you go into an interview. Let's use what you guys are dealing with. You go into an interview, you really want this job, you really need this job, and you're afraid. There's no real threat actually happening. But for you, in your brain, you may go, oh, no, for your brain, there's a threat. So what happens is when you're very, very young, there is some actual threat. Let's say you're 4. And you get in trouble because you had your hand in the cookie jar, or whatever it was for you. I was kind of rebellious, and I like to, kind of rebellious, I'm very rebellious. I kind of would defy the rules. And so I was always in trouble. It was Janet Ray, and then I was gone. What happens is your brain, there's like, I'll give you a little bit of the science, but it's very dumbed down because it's just too hard. There's like a pinpoint in your brain when that first thing happens. And then throughout life, there's reminders of it. And you build up like an electrical circuit, okay? That's a brain pathway. What happens is anytime there is a threat, this pathway gets activated. What happens then is your brain spews out chemicals. And we're not talking a big margarita here. No salt on this one. This is chemicals like cortisol and epinephrine that take the reptilian part of your brain, and now it's survival. And you almost can't control it because it's your brain. So what do? Well, I'm going to give you a really, really quick, easy thing. Actually, let me back up before I give you that. How many of you are shy? Shy. You consider yourself shy. Usually it's about 50% of the room. When you go into a networking event or you're with somebody strange or something, Do you get anxious? Yes? It's not TV, you guys. I have to hear. Okay. Yes, you get anxious, right? That's what's happening. So for people who are shy, it's automatic. And it can happen in all different areas of life. But I want to just keep using what you're dealing with. So if you're shy, you're going into an interview, David, and that's automatically already there. So you could almost guarantee your brain is triggered. Now here's the really bad news about it. When cortisol is flooding your brain, it slows down the synapses, so you cannot reach the executive functioning of your brain, which is reasoning, thinking. So you come out of the interview and you go, why did I say that? Anybody had that experience? Exactly. That's what's happening. So I'm going to give you a little tool. I'm a fan of action. Action makes results, and giving you something simple so you don't have to write it down and remember everything. Especially for those of you who are shy, or anybody that's afraid, and it's really important you get this job, ask yourself this question. What is the worst thing that could happen? Answer it. Then you say, what's the probability of it? And when you really answer that, it's like 1 or 2%. Like, the worst thing that could happen is, well, I fall on my face. You know, I say something stupid, I cuss at somebody. What is the probability? Probably pretty infinitesimal. If that happens, this is the third question, if that happens, can I survive? Right? Then immediately your brain calms down. The other trick is to counter that bad margarita, rotten margarita. We want to trigger the positive hormones. So the positive hormones are the hormones of connection, which are oxytocin and dopamine, which is a feel-good chemical. This is the simplest thing in the world. Do you know how you trigger it? You look at somebody in their eyes. The moment, it's mirror neurons, so the moment I connect with you, or I say something to you, or I ask you how you are, we're in connection. My brain, it's automatic, spews new chemicals and it displaces it. So the more you can reach out to someone and connect with people, you'll calm yourself. So one of the things when people are looking for jobs, what I always recommend they do is have a buddy that is in a relationship with them. Before you go into an interview, talk to somebody so that you actually calm your brain. And you may think, I don't need to. Calm your brain so that you can be there, like who you are, the extraordinary human being you are. Cool? Okay. So I'm going to pause. I'm very interactive. If you have questions or you don't understand something I've said or you want to argue it, I'm cool. So just raise your hands. Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
So when you say calm your brain, if you're sitting in your car before you go in and you have positive mantras or something like that, or I'm going to ace this, or this is my job, this is my parking spot, I'm going to love this place, talking to yourself a little bit neurotically, is that okay?
Yeah, that certainly helps. But it won't produce the oxytocin dopamine. It is literally connecting with another human being.
Okay.
Now, when you're going to do that, I'll give you a little cheat. Okay, let's say you can't reach anybody. You don't have anybody you can do it.
A blow-up dummy?
That might be for other things. We're not going there. No, it's if you look at yourself in the mirror. So as a speaker, when I was trained many, many years ago, that's one of the things you learn to do is you talk to the person in the mirror. And you actually, I would do this until I was moved. I got what I was saying. Talk to yourself in the mirror. There is something that you are connecting to when you're doing that, rather than just doing the mantra, but it's very useful. Any other questions? Yeah.
And I came in a little late, so I missed the,
Yeah.
I may just bring out context, but the part I heard was, sort of like elevating yourself, getting yourself past some of your hesitation and selling yourself a bit more. Now, I put my hand up, one of those people who are shy. Now, my question is, if in the past you've been successful, at role, any roles and jobs you want with the way you feel comfortable. What's your advice to people to sort of then get beyond that? Because
Elevate.
very often maybe for the next role you do have to do more of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Your past success has been who you are, so how do you break out of that?
I'm going to say this two ways, so it's a really great question. Did you guys hear his question?
No, would you repeat it?
Absolutely. So what he's saying is, if you've been successful with the way you are in the past, how do you go about elevating it? Is that essentially it?
Basically,
Yeah.
breaking out of that mold.
Breaking out of that mold. Because, listen, I'm not here to say you should be different than you are. I'm actually here to say you should own more of who you are and express it in the world. So I'm going to get into a little bit in a moment. I'm going to answer that indirectly now. And then I'm going to get into that, okay? Which is that you need to elevate yourself. And you need to tout your own horn. So what are the, let me see if that's the right thing. Okay, so why don't we say, I'm fabulous? Why don't we do that? Well, you may find yourself here, there may be something else. We're in Austin, Texas. I'm not a Texan. I've been here a long time. I'm never leaving. But I'm from the Midwest. I'm married to a New Yorker. We think we reverse roles because I'm much more a New Yorker than he is. So I was not taught it was wrong to brag, but I know that's a really common thing. When I've talked to people, that's very common. Don't brag. And in fact, one of my dear friends is Australian, and she calls it tall poppy syndrome. So, yeah, see, I knew you'd know what it is. Tall poppy syndrome is the tallest poppy heads get cut off. So you don't want to get seen. You want to be average. I also talk to Canadians who are very apologetic for being great. So another one is you're not perfect. You feel like an imposter. You're not credible. You're fake. For those of you coming back into the workforce, I know we had a domestic goddess who's reinvigorating into the workforce, and we have somebody, at least I know that much, that's been out of the workforce, general workforce for 10 years. That will come up. So, and it'll come up for those of you who were fired, or you're trying to change or elevate. It's like, who am I? Who am I to say that I'm great? I don't have the proof. You are not good enough. And you look for evidence that there are other people that are better. You failed before, you got fired before. You don't deserve it. That's a really, really, really common one too. Well, I don't deserve that. I don't deserve a bump in pay. I've been out of work for a year. There are lots of other, whatever, salespeople, tech people, assistants. I'm not special or unique. You don't like attention, you're shy. You don't want people to expect much. So, this is a good one. If you brag on yourself and you say how fantastic you are, they hire you. What will likely be in the background is, what if they find out I was full of it? It's there for you, isn't it? You don't make enough money. You're afraid someone will criticize you, or worse, won't like you. And someone told you that you were not that good. Any other reasons I didn't cover that is there for you, why you minimize yourself? Yes?
Can you explain what you are not there yet means?
Wherever you think there is. Like, what do you do? Let me use you instead of me.
My job.
I job hunt. Interesting. What type of job do you want?
Yes. I'm looking for something like public relations, public affairs. I've got lots of management experience, and that's kind of like the diametric problem. I've got lots of management experience, but it's not IT-based, like Austin needs. And public affairs is a new skill set, but I don't have the experience. So it's kind of...
That's it. That's exactly there. I'm not there yet. So I haven't earned my stripes in that, which is one of the hardest things when people are changing careers or positions, because you don't have the experience. You don't have the proof. Now, there is a way You should talk to me offline. I'll give you a really quick exercise that'll help you figure that out for yourself. But you'll minimize yourself. That's what I really want to talk about, is how to express your power. I'm going to get into, I know I gave you a worksheet. We're going to go to work on that. Okay? But you'll have, anybody else that I didn't cover, you're not covered up here, that is why you know you minimize yourself. Yeah, Dan.
Can I bring up the elephant in the room?
I didn't know there was one, but okay.
Well, there's one.
There's a bunch of us here. We're too old.
Oh, we're too old. Thank you. I'll have that. Yeah, we're too old. Got that. I call myself seasoned. Experienced, seasoned, whatever. But I understand that. I have one of my brothers who will be 60 in July, is just about to lose his job again. And he's actually talking to an attorney because it's probably age discrimination. That happens too. But his whole experience is exactly what you say. So absolutely, that's there too. Yes?
Confidence.
Confidence.
I often say, since I've never applied for a job in my life, and I've been working since 16, and I'm getting ready to apply for Medicare.
Yeah, so I don't have the confidence to do it. That's also very good. So I'm going to bring one more thing in that you just said. So if you've been in a job for a really long time and you've got laid off or fired or company went folded and you're entering the workforce, it's like, how do I even get started in that? So your confidence would definitely be undermined. Anyone else? Okay, so, let's see. Okay, nope, not ready. Okay, so now I'm going to work with you on that handout I gave you, because it's very practical. Here's, oh, Shannon, you need some up here. Raise your hand if you don't have one. We'll bring you. There's 3 here and 1 over there and 1 there.
Get here earlier.
Or get here earlier. So, we're going to look at everything, because everything communicates. The words you say, which we began getting into, the words you say, your presentation, your body language. We're even going to get into like a 30-second commercial. I'll give you at least guidelines. We'll see if we have time. How much time do I have, by the way?
11:30.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. So we'll get back to the words in a minute. That's kind of the end of it. But I want you to know that everything communicates. Your body language, your tone of voice, the way you hold yourself, what your presentation says about you. And it's rare that we take the time to evaluate. Now, I also want you to know this. This is not about judging. Everybody needs to look a certain way. No. But have you taken the time to discover what it is you're projecting and that you decided to project it? See, most of us don't do that. We just do what we do. But I'm here to tell you this will make a difference. So, if we start at, I think, hang on, let me get my hand out. If we start at your dress, your style, your presentation, so to speak, if you look right now, so I'm asking you to just do an inventory, what does that communicate? Just look for yourself. What does your own presentation, style, way you're dressed, and I know you didn't dress up, but what does it communicate? I just want you to get into the mindset of it. Write that down real quick. And then I'm going to get some feedback. All right. Who will share with us? What does yours communicate? Yes.
Like business casual.
Okay, stand up. Okay. That's the style of dress. what does it communicate about you?
I can look professional, and with some minor tweaking going on, see it's talking about high, I can actually go to that next level if I need to.
Okay, so where I want you to look from, can you come up here so people don't have to twist?
I'm not shy.
Yeah, thank you. So he said business casual, which he's definitely dressed business casual. He also said I could put on a tie, roll down my sleeves, and I'm more professional immediately. But if I said to you, when you got dressed this morning, what was your mood? What was your intention in what you were wearing?
My mood was not happy,
Okay.
but my intention was, like you come to the session before, dress for success because you never know what you need.
Good. Okay, perfect. So that's what his presentation communicates. I'm dressing for success. So who I am is this. Now, if we came to your house and had a beer, you would be dressed like this. Right? So it is taking the moment to assess what are other people going to get from me because I'm projecting this. Thank you. It's great. Someone else? Yes, Dan.
This is what I would call tech casual in Austin.
Okay.
It's jeans, something very comfortable, not presentational, not ostentatious. Even though I'm a professional, I've spent the last 15 years wearing jeans to work.
Yeah.
I have to get down to the floor, to get up to the desk or something.
Yeah.
Or work on a bench.
So do you mind coming up? Okay, and then I'll repeat what he said, because I guarantee we didn't hear it. So he said, for him, this is tech casual. And as a tech, this is how he's dressed, jeans, because he has to get down on the floor for 15 years.
Yeah, it's comfortable.
And it's comfortable, okay.
I'm not allowed to impress anybody with my dress. This is what impresses me.
Okay. So good. Wrong. So first impressions last. That's why we're having this conversation, because you want to project what you want to project, whatever that is. So, can I pick on you? Are you sensitive? Yeah. There's a lot of people. Huh?
He didn't answer.
You didn't. Are you sensitive? Okay, so you guys may not be, you're probably nice, but what would you say it projects? If you're an employer and someone comes in like this, what would you say it projects?
I think it depends on the job.
Nope.
Maybe not taking it serious. Not
Yep.
taking it too serious.
That could be. What else? Pardon?
Like that.
Laid back, okay.
Too casual.
Too casual, yeah. What else?
Too intellectual.
Pardon?
Too intellectual.
Too intellectual? Okay. But you wouldn't know that if he hadn't said that. I want you just to look, because first impressions matter. Yes?
I just want to see his hands.
His hands, okay. Got it. Okay. So, yes, please.
Can I say something in his defense?
No? This isn't about defending. So this isn't, here's what you want to get. This is not personal, what I'm doing. I'm making a point that I think is really important. I understand my husband's in tech, without. So I understand tech dress. But when you're going to look for a job, you want to go,
Well, I dressed up when I went to the interview.
okay. But this is the potential of lots of people going, oh, this guy is really great. Hey, I interviewed for this. It's not a fit for me, but what about you? So you're not in the world and in a situation like this, awake to, like you said, I'm going to dress up and professional because I don't know who I'm going to meet. Because this tells me I love being casual. I mean, I wear t-shirt and shorts all the time. But it tells me I don't care. I'm going to do what I want to do. That's what it tells me. Okay? And that may not be, it may be what you want to project, but that may not be what you want to project. Again, I'm not here to judge what you want to project. I'm here to wake you up to, you have a choice, and you want to look at what you're dressing in so that you project something. And you may be unaware, because you've been living in this tech world at work for a long time. Ask somebody else and give them permission to be honest. And be honest with people, because you're actually doing them a favor. Okay? Thank you. Yes?
I have a question on the flip side. Suppose you wear a very formal dress, a nice looking suit and tie and black shoes and all polished, etc. It's for interview, right? I mean, not for meeting like this.
Right.
But what does that project? Does it project like you are over smart? I mean, what does it? What does that say?
You want to answer that?
Yes, normally I tell folks before they go to an interview to do an immense amount of research on the company. So understand what it is they wear, understand how they behave, understand how they spend Friday evenings, understand how they interact with each other so that you can sense and respond. So if you know they wear casual clothes every day, you dress casually but nice. If you know that they are watching financial firm and they wear really crisp suits every day, then you wear that. So basically, the run-up, at this point in time becomes much more important than when you
Yeah, it's really good what you're saying, and I'll give it to you this way. You want to be appropriate to where you're going and elevate at least one level. Because it shows that you care, it shows that you're interested, it shows that you took the time to elevate yourself. So what? They're all at Google, dress tech, and you're dressed nicer. That says something about you. It says your interest. Once you're an employee, you can downgrade to what everybody else is doing, but until you are, don't. Yes?
That's kind of deja vu for me. I had an interview about 3 weeks ago, and I agonized a long time about whether to wear a tie and a jacket, or a jacket and no tie, or what should I do? And I went back and forth in my mind, and I ultimately decided on the tie and the jacket, and here's why. When I walked through the door, all I saw were engineers, and they were very casual, like
him. Yeah.
And everybody looked, and everybody wondered, who is that wearing a tie in Austin? When I got to the hiring manager, who is the vice president, he was also very casual. But I felt throughout the entire interview that he was looking at me and trying to assess certain things about me. One was, yeah, I was wearing a tie and a jacket, but I think he was looking at, this guy's got to replace me, maybe go to visit customers in place of me. What's he going to look like when he does that? Not what he's going to look like every day when he comes to work. What's he going to look like when he goes to visit customers? How's he going to sound? What is his part of speech? Can he articulate? What kind of words does he use? Does he think through things? And those were the things that I was trying to project to him, that I can do that. Not, I'm one of the guys. I can be one of the guys.
Right.
Can I do that job that he's not telling me what the job is, but I think the job is going to be something very close to him because it reports to him. And that was my thought in going and deciding ultimately to wear the tie. And I felt a little awkward, but I'd rather feel awkward and have him comfortable than vice versa.
Really? Did you guys hear all that? I'm hoping you did. That's so well said. Phenomenal. And that is really what I'm trying to have you get, is to take the care to do that and elevate. Yes?
There are two sides to that coin. For most of my career, I've been a technical trainer. I've also been a pre-sales engineer, so I've been customer facing. And you always want to be at the level or above the level of dress if you can be. And I always did that in my training classes, especially on customer visits. But you also want to be comfortable. And so if you're not comfortable in a suit, if you don't wear a suit regularly, if that's 2 or 3 levels above what the tech organization is, it can work to your disadvantage.
Absolutely. You got to be comfortable in your own skin. I'm not saying be uncomfortable in your own skin, but then get a suit that's comfortable, or don't wear a jacket and wear.
Or a jacket and no tie.
Or a jacket and no tie, or you know, if you're a man, an open shirt, or for a woman, you don't have to wear a dress. I never wear dresses. You know, wear something that suits you, fits you, you feel good in, and it elevates your confidence.
Well, I would say if you decide you've got to wear a suit, like you said, get a good suit. But also go places, go to the theater, go to church where you have to wear a suit and get comfortable wearing it.
That's
if
good.
you're not comfortable.
That's great. Never heard that one. Yes?
But I'd like to suggest that you don't react the day before or the day of the interview, that you study ahead of time. The organization is not.
Yes. So what he's saying is, don't do it the day before the interview. Study the organization, study where you're going ahead of time, which is really good advice. Okay, so let's go to the second one, which is your body language and the way in which you hold yourself when speaking to others. So, eye contact is the most important thing you can do. And for those people who are incredibly shy, it's hard. It's really hard, and I understand that, you know, that's going to happen. I'm like, what are we doing? 2 spots. Okay. It just, it was sudden. It was like, okay, where am I going? 2 reasons. One, the oxytocin, the dopamine. It will calm you. The other is, we say the eyes are the window to the soul, but for human beings, that is it. Now, you don't have to go like this and just stare at somebody, but you want to meet their eyes, and if you, especially those of you who are shy, or it's really hard for you to be with people, avert them and go back, avert them and go back. And if you have to picture who they are for you, it's okay. You know, like you're comfortable with your husband or your wife, or your kids, picture them, I don't care. You want to just be with that person. The thing that is a little trick, because I'm good at giving you little tricks, is if you get curious about them. Now remember, it's an interview. Interviews are always 2-way streets. So, but you want to get curious about them. I do a whole thing, which I'm not going to get into, but I do want to mention this so you could do training, and if you're interested, and I'll give you access to our 40-minute training on this. I mean, it's not on here because I wasn't planning to, but I'd be happy to if anybody contacts me. The name of the training is called Read Your Lead, the Art and Science of Closing with Confidence. It's not just sales. It's a way to read people's body language. So I'm certified in this. And how many of you have taken DISC instruments? A few people. Okay, so DISC is an observable language based on William Woolston Marston's work in 1928 called The Emotions of Normal People. It's done frequently for hiring. In fact, I do it for my clients when they're hiring. But what it does is it's talking about an observable behavioral style and a preferred communication style. If you can pick up, and it doesn't take long because you can self-teach yourself to read people, if you can pick up people's behavioral styles, know yours, and adapt, you will elevate what I call closing. Closing meaning anybody doing what you want them to do, which for you might be hire them, or not, because you may go in an interview and go, this is not my place. It also works with your spouses and your children, and your friends. So, just shoot me an email if you're interested in that, and I'll send you the link. But you want to pay attention. If they're straight to business, you be straight to business. But mostly you can, how are you, we do stuff that is like crazy. How are you today when you don't really care? It's just all fake. It's like, weather's nice, whatever there is to connect. So as you come into the interview and you observe something and say something just to connect to that person. Body language. In Texas, you do not ever stand like this. Because I got a gun. You don't know what's happening. You don't do this. What does that project?
You need to talk to.
irritated, mad, impatient, okay? Stand like this. What does that project? Bored?
Could be.
Could be. What else?
Closed.
Closed. Afraid.
Weak.
Something like that.
Uninterested.
Pardon?
Uninterested.
Uninterested. More closed, and it's a protective mechanism. And then there's this, or what's natural. Men, putting your hands in your pockets and fiddling. Don't do it. People do that, and it's unconscious behavior. So it's unconscious behavior, it's a nervous habit, and men do it all the time. But it's distracting, and what you're doing is you're not actually here in the present with people. So you want to just pay attention, get your hands down to the side. And I know sometimes that's really hard to do if you're standing, but even if you're sitting in an interview, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying you can't cross your legs or anything like that. You just want to be cognizant and aware. Okay? So, any questions about that?
Actually, on the hands on this, Amy Cuddy did a TED presentation a few years back.
The power pose.
The power pose, yes.
But it's not in a setting, it's to get yourself ready for one. So the power pose, you can do that, and then you get yourself ready, but not in the setting itself. Like if I came up here and was like this, you'd think I was mad at you, or I'm attacking. It's a subtle difference, but yes, I love the power pose. Okay, in fact, I do that kind of stuff. I just did a TED. So, yeah. Okay. Now, the next one, I have it as your networking. Your approach to others in a networking set. Include what you say and the way in which you say it, and how many people you speak to. So, you guys aren't networking for your own business. I a lot of times talk to entrepreneurs. But you can do it in terms of being, looking for a job. If you approach others, or you wait to respond. And include your follow-up system. So one of the most critical things is that you follow up, always. And I'm sure you're taught this, but just do it. Even if I take somebody's card and I'm not going to work with them, they're not a client, they're not a potential speaking opportunity, I always follow up. Because I am somebody who, for me, I want to contribute. So you might not be for me, but I might know somebody. So you always want to nurture all your connections. Don't pick cards that you're not going to follow up. Otherwise, it's like, here, yeah, call me. And you throw it in the trash. Just don't take it. Say, no, I'm not going to do that. Tell the truth. But I want to get, because I just looked up, and I want to get into a little different piece. So the finances and fees, I'm just going to speak to this really quickly. Salaries. I want to do a little bit of interactive work with you about owning your power, but obviously, if you're in this position, this is your salary range. But whatever you think you're worth more. I always tell people the right number is the one you gag on. I can't get that out. And then you deal with what's between you and that number. Because what's between you and that number is some internal conversation you're having about you're not good enough, or you're not there, back to the slide before. This one. Okay. So, and then your elevator speech. So I want to get into that just a little bit. This last 15 minutes just to give us a little piece. So your elevator speech would be, for you, you're selling yourself, always. It's like, if I may not be out looking for a job, but I know a ton of people. So when you're introducing yourself to me, you better own yourself. And now, she's out of the room. She was so amazing. She's like, I turned to Shannon, I'm like, she's a Rolodex. Here it is. I got something, I'm like this resource person. You want to be that for others, and you want to allow yourself to own how great you are so that people know who you are and who they should connect you with. So I want to take a couple minutes and have you work on this. All right, so on the back. You're going to fill this out. What benefits, I said, do clients get out of working with you, or what does your manager say about you? So I'm going to say it a little differently. What was your last job evaluation that was a good job evaluation? Or what do people say about you as the professional you are? I don't care if it's in the past role, it's fine. You want to actually write, what are the descriptors? What do they say? So take a moment and just write a few things down. Okay, I'm going to move to the next one because I just want you just jotting down a little bit, okay? Then write some unique terms that describe you or something you do or something that others have told you about the outcomes they get from working with you. So if you've been a manager, people say, you know, thank you so much. I really got powerful, I got well-trained, like that. I'm a different person out of working with you. I never thought I could be this way. Anything that's there. So you're just jotting, not big sentences, just jotting down things.
I'm sorry, Jen, could you explain the difference between the first and the second?
It's a different way of asking the same question, which opens up your brain. So, unique terms might be something unique. One is benefits. So, I can't cuss here, can I? Shannon, am I allowed to? I'm sorry? It's not a church, I can cuss here. So, I would say unique terms, I'm badass. That's a unique term about me. And I am bold, and I cut to the chase, I'm not fluffy, those are unique terms.
So when are you going to cuss?
Believe me, I've said things. I used to say, I help people make a shit ton of money. That's a technical term. I did it in a very religious group. Didn't realize it was religious. My bad, not in surgeon. It landed like a thud. So I'm going to work with one or two people in putting it together. So here's the biggest problem I see, because I network a lot with people when they introduce themselves, like especially in a networking event where you get to go around. And there are people searching for jobs all the time at networking events that I go to. They say way too much. They don't say something that's memorable, that's unique, that's an interrupter, and leaves people with a true sense of how great you are. All you're trying to do when you, first of all, you know we have really, really short attention spans. There was a Microsoft study that showed you have 8 seconds, 8, to capture someone's attention. Not long. So you've got to really kick it off, and you want to grab their attention and leave them wanting more. So don't explain a lot. In this, it should be 1 or 2 sentences, 30 seconds. It's not much. Okay, so who would like to work with me? Okay, come on. A brave person. Okay. I love it. Okay. What'd you write? Number 1.
Top-notch, get stuff done.
Let's do this. Is this on too?
I can speak loud.
Okay, speak loud.
Can y'all hear me? Yeah. I'm a former instructor, so I don't often like to use a mic because I can project. So, my name is Tom Pernicki, former Army officer, operations, top-notch. I've gotten numerous awards, certifications through the U.S. Army, most recently from the Defense Information School on Public Affairs and Information. With that, over 12 years experience in management, doing a variety of things to include instructing and teaching, a variety of methodologies to include consulting as we work with foreign security forces overseas in foreign countries.
Okay, so I'm going to use a lot of things that I wasn't going to use, but it was too good. What were you left with as his way of being? Do you know what I mean by way of being? How he held himself, how he conducted himself. What were you left with him In your face?
Intense.
Intense? Yep. Military? Yes. Straightforward? Confident? Okay, great. All that was true. Now, what did he say?
It's in the military.
Training instructor with foreign military.
Okay, anything else?
He was good.
That he was good, okay. And he got awards. But all that other stuff, blur. See, that's the too much. So it was really, really good. So one of the things, Tom, is I really acknowledge you because I got the minute you stood up here and you're like, strode across here is I own who I am, okay? As an instructor, it's great because you've been in front of people, you had to project that. So, what are the unique terms that you wrote down? Valuable. Team player.
Say either one of those.
Right.
Numerous awards.
Award-winning.
Award-winning, credential, certifications.
Certifications, okay. So well-trained, certified, award-winning. None of that was in there. Okay? So, now, let's just play it out, okay? So, who are you? Just say the one sentence. No, don't cheat.
I'm trying to remember what I said versus what I wrote down.
Yeah, don't do that. I want you to just, because you just said it. Award-winning, credential or training. Okay. Valuable. Okay, so now say it. Who are you? One sentence.
My name is Tom Pernicki, former Army officer, team player, numerous awards. Called highly valuable by my former bosses.
Okay. Called highly valuable by my former bosses had you take it outside of you versus own it.
Okay.
I am known to be a highly valuable team player. I am an award-winning former Army officer. Do you hear the difference? It's subtle, but it's really important because it's like, look, I am a badass speaker, okay? Versus I speak all over the place. And, you know, I get paid for it. Do you hear? It's like words, and words matter. And that's why I'm having you do this piece, is that you want to actually, you want to use other people to do this. I want you to come away today and practice with 1 or 2 sentences that have you actually own how powerful you are. And those places where you hear it's not, I'm not owning it, like my manager said, who cares? I am. Your manager told you, now you're owning it. Does that make sense? Okay. Awesome. Okay. So I've got 2 minutes, I'm going to give you one little last exercise. So how do you shift yourself from I'm an imposter or all those other things to actually owning your power? This is a really simple exercise. Find a testimonial or a great performance review. And I'll give you another way of doing it if you don't have either of those, like those of you who have been out of the workforce for a number of years. Interview people. Interview people in life, 3 to 5 people that will be honest with you. And ask them 2 questions. What are my attributes? What are the great things I do? What are the things you admire? That's one question. What are my areas of growth, weakness? And just write it down. Your brain won't let you hold on to it, by the way, because it's so threatening. But if you write it down, then you'll have that list. Only keep the positive list for what I want you to do. Read it every day. Start out your day. I have clients do this where they take it and they put it in a folder and they read it every morning. And then look for evidence of that. See, what we do as human beings is we decide I'm not good enough, some version of that. Or I'm worthless, or I'm too old, nobody's going to want me. All the things that you have going on in your head, and you go through life with a blinders and you look for the evidence of your point of view. And I promise you, that's how you minimize yourself. But if you take something that someone else has said and it says, God, you're such a team player, you're so valuable, and make the specifics, look through life for that evidence, because that will change your brain. Now, it's a big habit. So habits, I know people think it's 21 times. It's actually, the latest research is 66 times. That may be wrong. That's the latest research. But here's the thing you want to get. You'll be weak at it for a while. Fine, just keep starting over. And you literally can retrain your brain pattern, because your brain will take the path of least resistance, and that's a well-worn path. So let's give it a new path. So that's what there is to do. Okay? Now, I got to stop. If you take out your cell phone, I'll come back. I'm going to ask a question, okay? So, take out your phone, text the number 44222, and the word get power. It'll say, give me your email. I will send you a really powerful exercise called Get Moving. It's called Stop Procrastinating. And my confidence builders quiz. And then I also send out weekly, I'm a writer, so I write. And I send out that, and I also have a podcast. If you want to do a one-on-one with me, I'm leaving for Europe one day for 3 weeks. I know it's rough, but it's my 30th anniversary trip. But you can text strategy session to that same number, and it'll give you a link, and you can set up something if you want to talk to me one-on-one. My email's at the bottom, janet@janetZaretsky.com, if you want the video training that I talked about. I have a podcast, Brilliant You, there's LinkedIn, all that other good stuff, okay? And then I also have books. So I have books, Where My Confidence Go, and How Do I Get It Back. They're at the front of the room if you want those. They're normally $13.99, we sell them for $9 today, okay? That's it. Questions?
I just wanted to ask you to repeat the two questions you asked the person.
Yes. So what are, you could say it in many different ways. What are my strengths? What are the things you admire about me? What are the things you think that are really good about me? And then the other one, which is what are my areas of growth or weaknesses? And write it down.
Thank you.